Today, I'd like to talk about follow-up. A lot of people get really stressed out about follow-up. What do? I've already talked to this person and I've exposed them to what it is that I have. I've tried to educate them. But what do I do now? They didn't say yes. They didn't say no completely. What do I do? So I learned a couple things when it comes to follow-up. The first thing that I learned is when it comes to a business decision, people aren't ready to make a business decision, to join a business in one exposure, very rarely. They usually need more information. They got to think about it. They got to let it soak in. They got to get some more questions answered. They got to figure some things out. So I learned to have patience. Even though I was ready to go after one exposure, they might not be, and that's okay. So have patience with somebody to understand that our job is ultimately to educate them fully so they understand what it is that we have. And it might take many exposures for that person to become fully educated to the point they understand. So I learned that for business prospects, it usually takes 4 to 6 exposures before they're ready to make a decision. And it could follow any order. It might be a conversation, which leads to a product sample, which leads to watching a Zoom recording, which leads to getting on a 3-way chat or a 3-way phone call, which leads to looking at the compensation plan, which leads to attending some event, online or virtual. It could be any number of things. But the one thing I learned about follow-up is the only purpose for an exposure, exposing somebody to the information about your business, the main purpose is to schedule the next exposure. You're like, what do you mean? Well, here's what I mean. Talk to somebody about your business. But by the time you're done with that, don't leave that conversation until you schedule the next exposure. Well, I need to think about it. That's fine. I understand you have to think about it. How long do you need to think? Is there anything I can give you that would help you while you're thinking about it? Would you like to learn a little bit more about the product? Would you like to learn a little bit more about the opportunity, how the compensation plan works, company information? Oh, company information would be great. All right. If I sent you some of this information, would you check it out? When do you think you could see it for sure? All right, fantastic. Let's talk after then. You schedule the next exposure. Send them that information, schedule the next exposure. And when you follow up with them, what did you think of the information that I saw? It was good, but I don't really know how I would make money with this. Well, I have a compensation plan tutorial that'll walk you through how the money works. If I sent you that video, would you check it out? All right, fantastic. I'll send you a video and I'll send you a PDF. You can kind of follow along how the compensation plan works in connection with the video. When do you think you could see that for sure? All right, I'll contact you after that. Next exposure. And maybe the next exposure is scheduling a little 3-way phone call or 3-way chat or 3-way Zoom with somebody with their background, let's say, or your upline. Schedule that next exposure. Maybe invite them to a live Zoom. And you don't have to turn your camera on. Just come watch this Zoom that we do, and you get behind the scenes and you'll see what it is that we do inside of our company. Oh, okay. Maybe you want to try the product and see if you think the product's going to be a good idea for you. You think there's a market for it? All right, fantastic. Let's get you set up as a customer as part of your due diligence so you can try the product. See what I mean? Exposure to exposure to exposure to exposure. Now, I want you to think about anything. How many times have you seen something online? Let's say you see an ad and you go, ooh, that looks interesting. I want to buy that. But you don't buy it. Okay? You don't buy it, but then you see it again. And you're like, yeah, you know what? At some point when I have time, I'm going to buy that. Some of you have seen the same ad 30, 40, 50 times. And then you finally say, you know what? I don't have anything to do right now. I'm going to go buy. Right? Most of you have made a decision already based upon some exposure that you were affected by. You already made the decision, but you didn't have the time. You were too busy. You didn't feel like grabbing your credit card or whatever. So you put it off. You procrastinate. Same thing's true with people who are looking to join your business part-time or customers. Same thing's true. So follow-up is really just doing what you said you were going to do. Have an exposure. At the end of that exposure, schedule the next one and make sure you do what you said you were going to do. Get them the information and then reach out to them again at the time that you committed that you were going to do that. If you're just a pro and you show up from exposure to exposure to exposure to exposure, don't put too much pressure on one exposure. Most of you would not start a new business of your own if you were serious about that business after one exposure. Some of you did, but most people in the world won't. On average, it takes about 6 exposures. So that means for every person on your team that joins after one exposure, it takes somebody 12 exposures before they're ready to make a decision. So understand, our job is to continue to educate until a person's ready to make a decision. Do what you said you're going to do. Be a professional. Lead them from exposure to exposure to exposure. Your goal is education and understanding. But you've got to stay in communication. I can't tell you how many people made an exposure to someone. That person was going to say yes. They intended to say yes, but then they never followed up. And that person went, wow, they never even called me back. I threw one tiny little objection at them. They never even called me back. The most painful thing in the world, I promise you, is to find out somebody you talked to 6 months ago joined somebody else because you didn't follow up. That's painful. I've seen people walk the stage that I talked to. They were a little bit like non-committal, so I didn't follow up. They joined and they were at a top rank inside of my company. Oh, painful. I would save you that pain. Be a pro. Do what you say you're going to do. The old saying is correct. The fortune is in the follow-up. Be a professional. Do what you say you're going to do. Follow up, exposure to exposure. And I'll see you tomorrow.